What's up, guys? Back with another video. And recently I just watched the movie Akira for the first time, and it was a great movie. I'm definitely gonna have to give it another watch. But today we're gonna be go ahead and do a spiritual breakdown of that. So without further ado, welcome to Nimble Minds Talks of Self and Spirituality, where we talk about different philosophies and different spiritual perspectives. And with that being said, let's get right into the video. So the first thing I want to talk about is the root chakra. In this diagram that I have on the screen, it is labeled. It is the red light at the bottom of the diagram, or the person that is sitting in the meditative position, and it is marked root chakra. So this is going to be very important to understand in this video, because what is the root chakra? Well, just by looking at the diagram, we can see that one is called root chakra, so it is the root, so the base, and it's even depicted in the diagram since it is on the bottom and everything else is being held up by it as well. So just off of that, you can determine that if this energy is out of whack, or if this energy is imbalanced, or if this energy is not being protected, cultivated, nurtured, and is being expended, wasted in whatever shape, form, or fashion that is, the rest of the energies, i.e. the person, will most likely be off balance as well. And it can show in different ways, whatever ways that may be. So it is important to cultivate the root chakra energy, and one way you can do that is semen retention. That's just one way that I know about, and it's a powerful way. But not only that, there has to be a maintaining of the root chakra. Now, once again, this is the perspective I speak from, semen retention, because that's where my knowledge comes from. That's the stuff that I have sort of an idea about. So once again, it's good to remember that that is the root chakra, so it is responsible for helping to maintain the balance of the other chakras. So once again, one way, retaining your seed, not just releasing at any chance, and being in control of that, understanding the sensations, the feeling of that energy you have within you, within also understand that the different interactions, the different things that you do in your life are also releasing this energy, and you do have control over that. And although it can be difficult, because the root chakra is the energy that deals with lust. Lust is one of the biggest downfalls of the root chakra. What is it? Sexual urges and lust. Whether that be you're sleeping with a lot of women repeatedly, have your fun. But in this sense, that can be negative things. That could be something that works against you. You're always masturbating. That can be something that's working against you. Maybe you're very vengeful. That's all. You can have lust for vengeance. You can have lust for money, power, and at the end of the day, all those things are not innately bad. A lot of the things here on earth are not just bad. They're indifferent. They just are. But you, the way that you do the things you do, whatever your habits or routines, can cause these things to become negative. For example, having sex is not a bad thing at all, but when it is not controlled, when it is done more so out of lust than out of that control, out of that care for the person and for the being that could potentially be brought into this world, that's when issues can arise. So that is the root chakra. That's why it's important. Now let's get into the breakdown of Akira and how the root chakra, this kundalini, sexual energy, powerful energy, relates. All right, so the character we're going to be focused on is Tetsuo. So in this movie, Akira, Tetsuo is the main villain, really, of this movie. And although he does have some backstory that's, can be understandable, he's the main villain of the story. Long story short, trying to keep the spoilers to a limit, Tetsuo, he's a part of this biker gang. They're young teenagers, young guys in a biker gang, and he gets into an accident. And once he gets into this accident, Tetsuo runs into a child. And after he has this encounter with the child, he's taken in by the government, medical, and he's repaired. But that's when he has experiments done on him. And after those experiments are done, he starts to develop psychic abilities. And then the kid that he met in the accident, like once he was, trying to recover from the accident, figure out what was going on, that kid is found out to also have psychic abilities and to be involved as well. So that's a little backstory on Tetsuo and how he gets to the point where any of this talk can even relate. So because of those experiences and his upbringing, he eventually wants revenge on the government and other people that he has felt growing up and in his life have done him wrong and things like that, and people he does not agree with. So what does it have to do with root chakra? How does this relate to that? Any type of energy? Well, the first thing is he has a lust. And we talked about before how lust can be expressed in many different ways. Yes, there's just lust. And most people, when they think of lust, it's a great example. Lust is the sexual, you always want another woman. Or if you're a woman, you're always looking for another man or another sexual experience, whether that's a man or a woman, however you roll the dice. So in this situation, Tetsuo, he has a lust for vengeance. And with this lust for vengeance, it eventually will destroy him. So I said no spoilers, but hey, spoilers. So the lust for vengeance eventually destroys himself. So why can this be a bad thing? Why do you need to have control over it? Well, or gain the control, or at least understand it, right? So when it comes to the lust for vengeance and lust in general, when you have those desires and you have those itchings and yearnings for whatever it is, then and it's not controlled, that's when it becomes an issue. Tetsuo, for example, in this movie, once he start having these powers and developing these powers, some of the first things he tried to do was go after the people who he believed wronged him and may have wronged him. But what was the result of that? The result was a lot of people died. There was a lot of destruction in the city. There was a lot of rage, a lot of chaos in his environment, in him, which resulted to there being chaos around him and in other people as well. And that's part of the reason why you need to have control over these different aspects of yourself. And it's okay if you struggle. I struggle. Life is about the journey. Life is the process. So as long as you're trying, you're winning and you're doing better than most. That's what it is about. So back on topic, Tetsuo, that's one thing he was struggling with, and eventually it overcame him and he was not over to overcome it. So everything else is knocked off balance. So have control over lust, have control over your desires, whether that's sexual, whether that's material, whatever it is, you have to have control over it. And it can even be a positive thing. You're a person who could have desires for happiness. You're a person who could have desires for love and all these other things that are positive. But there needs to be that balance. And what is the balance? The balance is the control. There has to be that side of you that comes in and is like, okay, we want all these great things. And maybe you recognize them as not so great things. It could be either or. We want all these great things, you want all these bad things. But you have to realize that what is the amount? Is this even the moment for this? Is this an opportunity to do this? And in some cases, the answer may truly be no. And that is when you have to act on that decision. Tonight, everybody is about to go out for a party. And I'm not saying parties are a bad thing. I think parties are great. Have your fun. But creating up a scenario. There's a party and you have something that's due the next day. Let's say it's a assignment or something that you want to turn in because you want a grade on it or something. You have to make a decision. Do you go out that night or do you hang back, finish your assignment? That decision is up to you, but it's going to come down to things like that. And then in his situation, Tetsuo, it was bigger than that. It was, do I cause all this chaos and destruction and death around me in the city, or do I look inward and try to work on, whatever damages may have been done? Now look, in some of these shows, that damage, I ain't even gonna lie, it's a heavy burden. In some of these shows, some of it is like, I understand why you would do it. But then there's also the other side. I understand why you could not do it as well. So it's about having that balance, being consistent, being able to control the lust. And that is a heavy focus because out of all the reading you can do, out of all of anything you can ever learn in life, I promise you there's this one thing that is a constant throughout history, no matter what culture you look at, no matter what book, no matter what block, no matter what color. And it is that the downfall of not just men, of women as well, of human beings, because that's what we are. One of the greatest things is lust and the greed and a want of something to an unhealthy extent is the downfall of a lot of great people you'll hear about in history. Even the greatest people you will never hear about have battled and do battle with lust, because it's one of those things. But you can and you will get to a point where it is not in control of you. You are in control of it. So that is the goal. So that is the breakdown of Akira, more specifically Tetsuo, that character, and specifically in how lust can destroy. But it can also build if you gain the power to have control and put in the work, because it's not overnight, it's not one day, not 1 week, not 1 month. It's an ongoing progression. But every time you progress, it's a step. And then you keep stepping and you keep stepping and you get a little bit better every day and hopefully reach the goal that you're looking for. So, hey, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.